Di sini kita bersama satu komuniti mengurus strata penuh harmoni. JMB MC penyedia khidmat, semua terhubung, tiada yang terlewat dengan teknologi mudah dan
Welcome to Strata Connect. What expert says. Hi, I'm Justin.
I'm Suki here.
Today we have one very important guest that we managed to invite to discuss about one very important topic that most of the strata owners, I would say, are facing. Close to almost 90% of the buildings, strata buildings in Malaysia actually facing this issue. So the topic today is about interfloor leaking.
Yes.
So we would like to introduce our honorable guest speaker today, our expert today, which is Mr. Kwan from PKM Building Solutions. Hi, Mr. Kwan.
Hi.
So, Mr. Kwan, I know him through exhibitions and also networking in regarding to strata community. So, Mr. Kwan is an expert in tribunal and also expert witness for court. Okay, not just that, he is also a CIDB registered competent person to actually handle rectification works for interfloor leaking problems and even for building defects issues.
Yes.
Okay. So, Mr. Kwan, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you.
So, we would like to ask a few questions regarding interfloor leaking. I will let Suki to lead the questions first.
Okay. Kwan,
Yes.
maybe you can brief us what do we mean by interfloor leaking?
Okay, interflow leakage actually carry the interpretation from Strata Management Act 2013. So it actually relate to the dampness, moisture, and water penetration in the building. But it is not limited to floor only. Not only interfloor, actually also interwall.
Interwalls. Okay. Just like you
so-
mentioned one very important keyword, which is moisture.
Moisture, yes.
All right. And moisture usually caused by
Oh, there are a number of reasons that there is moisture. It can come from the pipe, it can come from the waterproof, rainwater, wastewater, domestic water, and even condensation.
okay.
So there are multiple sources of water in our surrounding that can cause interflow leakage.
Okay, so if let's say there is identification of all these issues, right? Is
Yes.
there any special tools that you all require to use to identify whether the source of the leakage or the causal of the leakage?
Okay, I always encourage property manager and professional to have a moisture meter. Moisture meter have one anode and one cathode probe. Once we put it in touch to the surface that contain water will have electric conducted,
Okay.
and there is a linear relationship between the amount of water detected to the voltage that eventually is generated by the meter. So moisture meter is very relevant, but different utilities actually require different tools. For instance, domestic water may require pressure gauge testing. For waterproofing, we may need to do a bonding test. That if it can be aided by the moisture meter, then it can give a quantitative type of result, which is very reliable.
Kwan, but how about for normal owner like us, which we don't have all the tools, how do we want to identify whether this is interfloor based on our rough eyes and so on?
Actually, sometimes it's of course in the indoor environment, the cold surface, the wet surface is normally colder. But when it comes to going to the tribunal or going to the court, we cannot use the feeling of cold as an indicator of water dampness. But we can always see the blistering pain, the peeling pain, and the damp stain with mold. That would be a typical indicator of water dampness in the building.
Okay.
So as usually we will just take a photo and then we will submit complaint to the management office, example.
Yes.
So at usual, the MO will of course come over to the unit and do some inspection to check
Yes.
whether the causal is by upper or left and right owners, or
Yes.
maybe it's from the common area.
Yes.
So that is the most common practice lah.
Yes.
It's just that now, like what Suki mentioned just now on, most of the owners, laymen, we do not have the tools to measure.
Yes.
Yes.
So it became very difficult to actually articulate and argue the case
Exactly.
or
Exactly.
to find fault who is actually at fault.
Yes.
Yeah.
But in the Strata Management Act, manager is the person who is highlighted in the act to do the investigation.
Understand?
So I have been telling different property manager in my talk that they need to have a moisture meter. And now you can buy moisture meter from a number of online platform, and it does not cost a lot.
Roughly around how much?
I encounter some model is less than 100 ringgit. You know,
Oh, so those are also usable lah.
usable. But
Okay.
if you want to use the moisture reading for tribunal or court purpose, then you may need to send it for calibration.
Okay. Okay. Can you explain more about calibration?
Calibration is a third party who is accredited by the Jabatan Standard
Okay.
to carry out some tests on the equipment that it is within the tolerance of accuracy as a third party.
So an independent party,
Yes.
an expert to actually do this lah.
Yeah, there are a few companies that can do all this.
Okay.
And this is when we want to employ these experts, right, to check on interflow leaking. Is it the cost bear by the management or by the owner?
Now, since the Strata Management Act actually highlight building manager is the one who investigate. So if he couldn't investigate and hire an expert, I would say the property management, the JMB or MC need to pay the fee. But there are some situations that once the root cause is identified, the bill will be forwarded to the person responsible for the leakage. So the act didn't have a clear indicator explanation on this lah. So yeah, that is the situation now.
Understand.
Okay.
So we would like to know whether, as earlier just now I mentioned that 90% of the buildings, right, in Malaysia, we do face this interfloor leaking.
Yes.
So is interfloor leaking a major defect in building, or is it means to say if I have a high-rise condo or I plan to buy one, so the chances of having this issue is high?
Okay, there are a few reasons behind all this. First, our building is having more glasses and our wall is getting thinner, which is more susceptible for leakage. The
Understand?
thinner the wall, the easier the water seep through. That is very reasonable lah. And secondly, all the sealant, all the waterproof pipe, they have their own service lifespan. So when the service lifespan has expired, somehow it will leak soon, you know. So that's why life cycle management is very important. If we know that the waterproof can last for 10 years, we do not need to wait for it to start leaking.
To happen.
Yeah. In fact, we should re-waterproof it during the 10 years.
So
instead
just
of
now you
waiting.
mentioned one very important keyword, which is the life cycle
Yes.
management. So means to say, during any developer handover to the JMB or the management corporation, so this life cycle planning, all right, should be also in the one of the handover listing, correct or not?
Yes.
It should lah. It's supposed to be lah.
It has been done in developed country lah.
Okay.
Which has been make mandatory. They call it reserve fund study. In North
Sorry,
America,
reserve plan.
reserve fund study.
Okay, reserve fund study. Okay.
Which incorporate life cycle management and financial planning to finance all the capital expenditure in the future. But unfortunately, it has not reached Malaysia yet, such requirement. So hopefully one day there will be a requirement that incorporate this so that we can know the actual amount, a feasible amount of sinking fund that can counter or at least finance all the capital expenditure in future.
Yeah, it's important to actually it helps, it enables the planning of the budget actually.
Exactly.
And also the contribution of the maintenance fee and also the service
Exactly.
sinking fund.
Exactly.
So I think this is one of the lacking in our industry in Malaysia over here now, because a lot of times we will see that a lot of condos, right, the funds may not be sufficient for all these important compliance works.
Yes. But just to share with you, since I have the opportunity now, I have seen some building that have sinking fund of up to 30%.
Okay.
And recently I discovered there is one building that increased their sinking fund up to 40%, so that they have enough money to finance all the capital expenditure due to the wear and tear of the building.
You understand?
So this interfloor leaking problem, is it due to wear and tear? And who is the one that's supposed to be liable? Is it the owners of the upper floor, like what we normally know? Or is it the management? And how do we identify who is responsible for that?
Okay, everything have lifespan, right?
Yes.
Waterproof typically have 10 years lifespan. So if my waterproof in common area start to leak in the third year, I will start to look into it as a latent defect. So if latent defect, we will try to get the developer to pay for such rectification. But that is another topic that we are going to talk later. Okay?
Okay.
But let's say if the lifespan have expired, I think naturally you have to fork out your sinking fund to re-waterproof or redo the piping. And like pipe typically is can last 15 years, rule of thumb. So if it has reached 15 years, somehow every month it will start leaking at different location. So instead of repairing, you should have replaced it. You see? So that all need to come from sinking fund. That's why sinking fund is very important to finance all the capital expenditure in future. And a number of this is actually related to leaking, including waterproof, including pipe, you see, and including sealant as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just now you mentioned about the percentage of sinking fund, 30%, 40%. So this one actually, the basis of calculation is compared with the total maintenance fee collection. The reserve fund is 30 to 40% for sinking fund, or how to actually come up with this 30-40%?
Okay, I actually have another topic to talk about this.
Okay. So this one is a very detailed
I
one.
have another article
Yeah.
on all this.
We can reserve this for the
Okay.
next topic.
But in principle, we need to project the cash flow required during the different year, because we know which year we need to do waterproof, which year we need to do painting, which year we need to replace the leaf, based on the life cycle management. So based on that amount, we can compile a cash flow analysis. Okay, which year we need to spend how much, and then from the collection of your maintenance and sinking fund, we can also project the budget to finance all this.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is the one of the very important takeaway for us right? The life cycle management.
Exactly.
Okay.
And very often, this interflow leaking does not really affect the culprit directly. So if that's the case, right, it's very troublesome for us to get the neighbor to rectify it. So any SOP in handling this interflow leaking?
Okay, I actually have a SOP that I have drafted some years ago. I think it will be projected in the screen.
Yeah, we will project.
Basically, this is the SOP stipulated in Strata Management, Maintenance and Management Regulation 2015. This is the flow chart of the step-by-step thing that you should do. And bear in mind, in the Regulation 63.2, there is a clause to say that in the event the upstairs neighbor refuse to grant access for inspection and repair, he can be charged for less than 50,000 or imprisonment of less than 3 years. Or both.
What if I cannot find the upstairs owner? Let's say they are investor from others country.
No, this is the weakness of the Act. The Act doesn't give policing power to the COB. So COB cannot go and trace the person like a police for you. So for that part, this is a shortcoming of the Act, which the Act is actually undergoing amendment for improvement soon. So
Means to say, if let's say like the culprit, sorry to say, use the word, that is not at home, not able to be reached out. So any related agencies that can actually open the unit for the contractors to go and fix.
Okay, yes. In fact, the Act provide it actually give the power to do forcible entry.
Okay.
If you can prove the leaking can cause risk to the building or the resident.
Okay.
I encounter some cases that I handle personally. COB actually invited me to go and investigate. And COB also invite the police from KBKT. There are actually a few police in KBKT that handle this sort of thing.
Okay.
So together, in the presence of police, COB, myself, and the committee, we actually did a forcible entry.
Understand?
We chongkel buka, Yeah,
Okay.
it can be done. It's actually, this power has been given in the Act.
Just that we have to get all the papers.
But in order to
application.
prevent the embarrassment for, suspected theft or so on, we better get the more people the merrier.
Understand? As a witness lah.
Yeah,
As a witness.
Do we have to
Yes.
log a police report in order to do that?
Now we have in that cases, we have got the police from KPKT.
Okay.
The actual police. It's just that they are seconded to the KPKT for this type of purposes.
This is also a new information for us. Yeah,
Yeah.
because we did not know that KPT actually have police
Yeah, actually they
supports
have.
over there.
Actually they have.
Maybe we should take a break
Yep.
and we continue more on this interflow leaking. Please stay tuned and we will be coming back after this break. Welcome back to Strata Connect. What's the experts say? And not to forget, please like, share, and also subscribe to our channel, right? To encourage us to have more podcasts on this issue. We are coming back to this interflow leaking. Together with us, we have Kwan here. And let's just continue with the SOP on the interflow leaking. Kwan, what if I'm facing, let's say my units, I'm facing with some leakage. As the affected person, what should I do?
Go down to the management office, launch a official complaint, and then the manager will need to come as soon as possible or latest within 7 days to do an inspection in your unit. So after that, if he feel that he need to access either upstairs or the neighbor, then he need to serve notice like usual, by hand or by register mail to them, so that the upstairs neighbor will grant the access for inspection and repair.
Okay.
Yeah.
But what about condensations? Is between the wall? Is it related to my neighbors or is it
Yes.
related to me?
Now, okay, let's say for the ceiling with aircon, if the aircon keep on blowing to one wall, and the next door actually open the window to allow natural ventilation. Bear in mind, natural air is very humid in nature, in Malaysia. And when it encounter cold surface, condensation will happen. And condensation is also one type of interflow leakage. And I think that part is one form of moisture, even though there is no water ingress. But the moisture is good enough to allow the mold to grow, and which can cause hygiene problem.
Yes.
To the residents.
So in that case, if my unit is affected, can I claim my labor or I have to repair it by myself?
Okay, all this after the investigation, the building manager will need to come up with a Form 28, which is known as Certificate of Inspection, that will highlight who is the responsible party to repair the defect or the damage, as well as the root cause of the damage. So he will need to write down, the root cause is due to condensation affecting the neighbor, and the person who is liable to rectify the defects will have to eventually rectify the consequential damage as well.
Okay. I just want to ask also, right, regarding the damage, right? Some may be related to the neighbors or upper units. Does it also maybe happen from the common area? Yeah.
Interflow leakage also include common area to parcel owner, parcel. So it can also include from parcel to common area. So vice versa, JMB could be part of the building, but it just happened that JMB manage the common area. So interflow leakage can happen in this situation as well.
What is the extent of the claim allowable? Example, let's say like my unit, my house, alright, my damages is caused by the leaking, and we managed to identify the source of leaking maybe from the neighbor or from the common area. Then my furniture maybe grown mold or maybe damaged by the water damages, or maybe my floor example, alright, is a parquet and the parquet pop out, or maybe my tiles due to the hot and I'm not sure, due to the moisture, everything, right, it causes the tiles to pop out. So, and even extend that my unit, because of all these issues, right, is not habitable, means to say people cannot live in, which I cannot rent out
Okay.
to a tenant.
Okay.
And there is also loss of rental income. So are all these claimable?
It is claimable, and of course, it depends on the amount of claim.
Okay.
If it's less than 250,000, you can go to Tribunal of Strata Management, which
Okay.
have the jurisdiction up to 250,000.
Okay.
But if it's more than 250,000, you may need to go to civil court.
Okay. Okay.
But all this interflow leakage, try to communicate with COB to see how COB can help you before you proceed to the tribunal.
As just like earlier you mentioned that COB can extend to KPKT
Yeah.
to help to assess,
Yes.
to check
yes,
the unit.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
What if the owner refuse to pay because like sometimes the interflow leaking costs too much of damages, very expensive, high cost, then I don't have the money to pay.
Okay. In that event, the regulation 61 sub 2 actually says that management need to come up the money to rectify the defect. Because somehow leakage can cause electrocution or even fires, which somehow will relate to the whole building. So the strata management regulations stipulate that management need to come up with the money, even though the parcel owner is a defaulter. Because in the event of defaulter, sorry, I rephrase. The money incurred to rectify the defect will be claimed back to the account of the parcel owner who is contributing to the leakage. But in the event that the parcel owner is a defaulter, there is another SOP to recover the defaulter debts.
Understand?
So there is no reason to say that because he is a defaulter, then management refused to rectify. There is no such ground.
So all in all, problem must be solved lah.
Yes.
Understand?
But is there a time frame for us to solve this problem?
No, the strata management regulation actually says the parcel owner who is responsible to rectify the defect or leakage actually need to start to do something in 7 days. To do something may include inviting contractor to come in and give quotation. So the act actually doesn't say that it must be done within 7 days because different type of rectification may incur different duration.
Period. Different
Yeah.
timeline.
Different timeline as well. Yeah.
Well, if let's say the interflow leaking is due to piping issue, can I just terminate the water supply?
Okay. In the event that you terminate water supply, by virtue that water is access to water is a basic human right. If you terminate the water and the water leakage can stop, I think you should terminate the water. But meantime, you need to give temporary water supply to the owner so that they can sustain their living. Imagine if there is a very sick person in the building in the parcel and without access to water supply, that is very inhumane. You see. Yeah.
So there's a lot of very detailed coordination have to be carried out.
Yes.
Okay.
So it's the party involved have to really work together hand in
Yes.
hand, to rectify this problem.
Yes.
Or else the resultant damages caused by all this
Yeah.
will be even more severe later on.
Yes. What if the water go into your lift pit? What if it go to your DB box? It can cause even more damage than you can imagine. It.
True. True.
Okay.
Let's come back to the common area leaking.
Yes.
If let's say my building is due for painting, is it a must for me to rectify the interfloor leaking before I go for to paint the whole building?
Indeed, it is recommended. It's not to say it's mandatory. Simply because any any warranty for painting, actually good paint like ICI or Nippon, they carry 5 years warranty against peeling, blistering, and fungi growth. But all this will be nullified if there is water dampness. So as such, to make the most value of what you have incurred for painting, you need to rectify all the damp spot before you paint it. So that whatever new paint that you eventually apply on the external wall will not blister and cause more ugly external wall eventually.
Well, sometimes I see that some management may want to save costs on the waterproofing. So they just jack the glue, right? So is it
PU
advised?
injection, is it?
PU
the PU
injection.
injection. So is it recommendable for us to do that?
There are precedent in the High Court. Firstly, the dual residency versus ADC Utama and Tropicana Bay resident versus Mutiara Metropolis. In both High Court case about leakage, PU grouting has been known as cosmetic repair. So it is a repair that doesn't give the durability that is desired. Maybe it can last for a few months. But occasionally when you start to do PU grouting on the left, the dampness will migrate to the right, So it actually just divert the dampness away, not solving it. So it is not something that is recommended.
Okay.
So besides PU injection, what are the alternatives to solve this? I mean, a permanent solution. I mean, you have to knock off the whole thing to redo the structure, or maybe is there any other solutions that are easier compared to the major one?
Let's say the building has reached 20 years.
Okay, 20 years.
So the lifespan of pipe is already expired. The lifespan of waterproof is also expired. So indeed, I always recommend to hack off the tiles, replace the pipe as well as the waterproof together.
So it's to reapply the waterproofing.
Yeah, refurbish
Okay.
and repiping as well.
Okay.
Because in due time, at the 20th years, everything will start to leak,
True.
Yeah, so a life cycle management will also apply here, you see.
Okay.
Then what your advice for the management? Okay, because we know that it's a huge cost, right? If we were to knock off all the piping and redo it, so what will be your suggestions for the managements to actually manage this cost, and at the same time we are not facing with a major issue?
Of course, like the cases that I handle by myself, management actually engaged me to fly infrared drone to identify the location of the external wall with dampness coming from the toilet, behind the wall. So from my infrared images, they can issue Form 28. So then they need to be given a few months to monitor all the rectification to be done before they apply the painting. But if it comes from the common area, then it is another life cycle management that you have to have enough sinking fund to do the refurbishment of the waterproof in due time. So you need to check all your planned expenses and all your projected collection and see what you can do with your sinking fund.
Okay.
So I think we will have the last question to Kwan. So if let's say a unit, right, the management or maybe the relevant party, right, make a wrong claim against the party. Example, let's say we suspect that the problem is from this unit, okay, but actually it's not from them. But we have served them the notice. We have also forced them to do the repair, maybe PU injection or these cosmetic solutions. But in the end of the day, the owner, they have to fork out the money. They appointed another party to come and assess and say that, hey, this is not your fault. The water is from another unit. So the cost that has already incurred to the innocent party, right? I mean, have you encountered such cases before?
Yes. One day COB called me up to say that one of the manager has filled in the Form 28 wrongly.
Okay.
I think you are referring to something like that,
Yes,
right?
something like that. Yes, correct.
Okay. My answer to him is, since he has filled in the form in black and white, he need to take responsibility to his action.
Okay.
So that's why I always encourage, that you start to, property management need to learn leak detection. Yeah, that's the reason I have in-house training to conduct training in how to conduct leak detection. Let's say for pipe, for waterproof, it actually have different protocol for testing. So if you have done all this testing, I think the accuracy of your finding will be much more reliable and accurate.
Okay. Thank you so much, Kwan. Thanks for your sharing
You're
for
welcome.
interfloor leaking. And we would like to also inform our audience, if you have any interfloor issues, you can always comment. We will try to reach out to Kwan, hopefully to get some good feedbacks from him to advise how to move forward with your claim. All right. Thank you so much. today we have Mr. Kwan. All right. Thank you for the expertise shared over here today.
Thank you.
Yes.
We will see everyone on the next episode. So don't forget, like us, follow and subscribe our channel. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Penuh bersedia, tender telus, ilmu dikongsi, podcast berfokus. Satu platform, lengkap bersama, membina komuniti lebih sejahtera. Dengan visi jelas, misi bersama, kita melangkah, jayakan Strata. Terus Strata Connect, menjalani kata, memacu masa depan, penuh harapan. Strata Connect, suara didengar, menyatukan semua, jadi lebih gemilang.